Good evening and hello, everybody. Okay, thank you so much for taking time off your weekend to spend with us. Welcome to this talk titled The New Norm of Fundraising. Okay, our guest speaker for today will be Mr. Hari Iyer, the Executive Director of BDO Kuala Lumpur. First and foremost, thank you so much, Mr. Hari, for taking time off your weekend to share with us your experiences in fundraising, how the recent COVID-19 pandemic changed the approach towards fundraising, and some advice for us students on more effective fundraising methods. Before we start the talk, I would like to call upon the President of MEDSOC, Mr. Gan Zien, to give a few words.
Hi, welcome everyone to the talk, and thanks Mr. Hari for your attendance that we really wish to listen to regarding fundraising from more from you. So yeah, medical society its name is a medical society, but why are we organizing such a talk? As in, from the past, we used to see a lot of our events, as in MEDSOC have about 4 to 5 grand events that being organized per year. But we used to see that most of the students or our members, they don't like to join uh, fundraising and sponsorship bureau, as in they feel it very difficult to approach our other companies and get sponsorship. So hence, yeah, they didn't want to join. But a successful events must have a lot of sponsorship in order to support the flow. So yeah, thanks. This is such a great initiative from sales and sponsorship department that I would like to thank Yushen, Priyanka, and also Aisha for organizing this talk. So we hope to learn more from Mr. Hari today, as in this talk will certainly train us to at least expose us to be a better in approaching companies for sponsorship, as in we use medical society. Actually, we have a list of companies that might have interest to sponsor us. However, we for the past, we used to call them and don't really get sponsorship, and the outcome is really poor, as if we are the soldiers that aren't being well trained, but we have been provided with guns that we don't even know how to shoot it. So hope everyone can benefit from the session. Thanks again, Mr. Hari. So we wait for your sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gan, for that, for a few words of encouragement. Next, I would like to call upon the Head of Department of the Sales and Fundraising Bureau of MEDSOC, Mr. Siu Yuxuan, to give a few words.
Okay, hi guys. So my name is Yushan and I'm currently the HOD for the Sales and Fundraising Bureau for the MEDSOC. So at first, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Hari for taking your time and joining us and giving this such a important information regarding the topic today. So, and next, I would like to also give my gratitude to Priyanka and her team, because this project would not be successful without them helping me to organize it, from looking for the speakers and organizing such an FB Live event, which I've never tried before. Yeah, so to make it happen, this credit must be given to Priyanka. So I would like to give thanks. And solely why we want to organize such an event is because this is considered as one of our initial initiative within our bureau. Like, we would like to invite speakers to give their professional opinions to medical students, especially in order to participate in the fundraising events more effectively, just like what our president said, to approach the companies more effectively so that we can reach a better partnership and gain some some funds in order to run our own event also. So we hope this event can expand further in a bigger scale, but I believe that we should take one step at a time also. So that's all my speech. So I hope that today's talk or this topic should help us, the medical students, to gain more benefit than we can imagine. So thank you.
Thank you so much to Mr. Siu, the head of department for the Sales and Fundraising Bureau of MEDSOC. We couldn't have done possibly had this event without the guidance of both Ms. Gan as well as Siu. And before we start the talk, I would like to remind everyone that if you have any questions or queries during the talk, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. And at the end, we will have a Q&A session where Mr. Hari will try his best to answer as many questions as he can. And without further ado, I will now call upon the man of the hour, our guest speaker, Mr. Hari Iyer, to share with us his knowledge on the new norm of fundraising. The floor is yours, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Apologies for the couple of minutes of technical issue. Good evening, everyone, and Priyanka and the entire organizing team. Thank you very much for inviting me for your event this evening. And this is the first time I'm doing a session through Facebook as well. So the StreamYard is new to me, even though I've done quite a few presentations using various other tools. StreamYard, this is the first time. And I sincerely hope I'm able to share some valuable information for your organization in what you are trying to do moving forward, particularly in relation to fundraising. Before I start, I just want to give a general comment on how fundraising as a task happens in different parts of the world. In the US, fundraising is done as a professional activity, meaning there are professional organizations who would charge as high as 40% of the funds that they generate as a fundraising fee to generate funds for universities and various other non-profit organization activities. Um, in Europe, it's sort of mixed. You do have the professional stream where they go through professional fundraising organizations to raise funds, and also have the traditional method to raise funds, such as like what you're doing, contacting various corporate sponsorships and foundations and so on to um, generate funding for your project. But what works in one country or in this country, I don't see much. In Malaysia, I'm not seeing much professional firms specializing in fundraising for other organizations. Maybe there are some, but it's not widespread. So organizations tend to go out on their own and engage themselves or through intermediary organizations and contact the donors. This is different whether Malaysian market would eventually move towards the US model or a hybrid of what's happening in Europe and US, and have a formal career or even a profession developed for the fundraising sector. I'm not quite sure how it will develop, but from a technology point of view, I do know now technology is enabling a lot of what wasn't possible in the past. What I mean by technology enabling fundraising a lot more easier now compared to uh, in the past is you can simply sign up with a crowdfunding platform and generate funding for your particular program or activity, or simply for the benefit of your members. So there are a number of online platforms where you could potentially sign up and get, instead of acting or instead of individually contacting your potential donors and corporates for sponsorship, you could go down the crowdfunding route and generate the funding you need. The other point I want to cover is um, there are traditional way of fundraising, which is the old school where um, typically it happens in the United States, where the university graduates, subsequently they become successful in their career and they become the possible donors from an alumni group and various other philanthropic donors who would strongly support universities and university related activities. Um, that is the model that US strongly use. In the current norm, using a technology to achieve similar or even better result is entirely possible. With the technology, you are able to approach and target a much wider audience. Say, for example, your organization is doing a particular activity and you want to bring more girls into medical field, for example, and that is your target and that is your goal, and you want to go, your society wants to go out to girls schools and promote medicine as a possible career for the next generation of youngsters coming through, and you want funding for you to be able to effectively target the girls to take up medical field. Fundraising, there are many platforms specialized in various fields, and you can pick a particular crowd funding platform and go through that to generate and target people who are aligned to what you're trying to do. There are many people want to see gender balance in every walk of life, whether it is at university level or in medical field or any field, technology field. There are many people at the board level or even at government level, at prime minister level, whatever level, there are people quite keen in bringing gender balance. And those people, the minute they see the topic of fundraising, they will get attracted and want to support your cause. So it depends on what is the purpose and how much you are planning to raise. If you're planning to raise small amount, then crowdfunding may or may not be the right platform. To give you on crowdfunding cost compared to the professional firms where you engage a firm and for them to door knock and talk to wealthy individuals or corporates and present your case and generate the funding for you. I mentioned that that cost could be as high as 40% of what they generate. Um, Compare that to crowdfunding. Crowdfunding platforms typically charge between 5 and 10%. So there is a huge cost difference. The crowdfunding is probably more suitable where it doesn't cost as much as hiring professional firms to raise the funds. The third part I wanted to cover here is the quantum. It all depends on how much you're planning to raise. If you're planning to raise small amount of money, what is small? Well, if you're looking to raise in ringgit terms, if you're looking to raise, say, 10,000 ringgit for a particular year or event or a project, then you might be better off trying to do it yourself because it's below 10,000 might be considered too small for any professional firms to come and get involved. But even for 10,000 or below 10,000, you might still want to consider looking at the crowdfunding platforms. There are many, by the way. I'm not recommending or I'm not commenting on any of the crowdfunding platforms, any particular one. There are many. If you simply Google, you will find there are so many platforms available where you can start raising funds. And for smaller amounts, you might still want to consider going through the crowdfunding platform. On the other end of the scale, if you are looking to raise billion US dollars, for example, or above 1 billion or above, then there are crowdfunding is not a suitable platform for that. And also the traditional funding route of engaging a professional to assist you in raising $1 billion and paying that agency or professional firm 40% of what they raise, both are not practical. Raising through crowdfunding platform $1 billion plus is not realistic. You may still be successful, but it's unlikely. Looking at the traditional, engaging a professional fundraising firm, paying as high as 40% fee is not commercially viable if you're looking to raise $1 billion plus. How do you raise funds for such large projects? It might be say, for example, USM in Penang wants to develop a specialized cancer unit, and they've got the land, they got the technology, but they need $1 billion to complete that project, and they want to raise funds. In those sort of instances, there are other avenues available. That is an area where I specialize in. I specialize in the sense I get involved in projects where the client wants to raise $1 billion, and part of what they are doing is not-for-profit activity, meaning there is a community benefit component, and the other part is commercial in nature, where, say, even in the USM example that I gave you, by the way, USM is not looking to build a specialized cancer unit. I just gave that as an example. Say, for example, they've got plenty of land, they want to build a new building, and that's going to be the specialized cancer research center. When you look at that overall project, even though the whole project might cost $1 billion, part of that activity is for community benefit. The other part is commercial in nature. What I mean by commercial in nature is the building has got a value. Even at the end of the day, there is a piece of land, they're going to build something, and that value is added, and therefore that becomes a saleable asset and an asset that carries value. The other part of what they're trying to do is to make that cancer research center where it's going to benefit mankind at large, and particularly in this region, they would make Penang or Malaysia as a hub for cancer treatment, and that component is community benefit component. The way I would look at that, a complex project or large value project such as the one I described, is I would look at that and say, let us quantify the community benefit component and the commercial activity. So out of 1 billion, let's for argument's sake, say a simplistic 50-50 split, 500 million of what that project is going to deliver is for community benefit, and the other 500 is commercial in nature. Then I can raise or assist USM in raising $1 billion. Out of $1 billion, 50% will be grant. Grant means they don't have to repay the loan, and there is no interest on that 500 million and no repayment. The other part of the 500 million is pure loan. It's like any other commercial loan, but interest rate might be only 2 or 3%, depending on what collateral is provided, right? In this case, USM case, they have the land, and therefore that becomes the security. So fundraising not necessarily mean in a small scale, you're just trying to raise $100 for a function that you want to host, or it could be a large scale project costing billions of dollars. The process you go through to achieve your end goal will vary. You can't adopt the same methodology what you use for $100 fundraising and $1 billion fundraising. These are completely different audience, and you want to go through different routes to achieve your end goal. Okay, there are pharmacy related examples that I want to highlight. Number of universities, whether it is Cambridge or Imperial or many universities throughout the world, have incubators. What is an incubator? They give space within the university for their students to be entrepreneurial and develop a product or solution which is partly funded by the university. The university might bear the part of the expenses in running in developing that particular solution or product, and it could be a joint effort between the university and the individual or individuals in collaboratively coming up with a particular solution, or they might simply set up a company where university takes a percentage share and the entrepreneurs take remaining shares, and they collectively work towards a common goal, and then they go out to market with the strong support of the university to successfully raise funds. And this happens in number of medical innovations where it without the university's support, it wouldn't be possible to come up with those solutions, those remedies or inventions. It wouldn't be possible from universities such as Cambridge and Oxford and Imperial and others. So that is something you as university students could consider setting up a company in collaboration with the university and develop a particular campaign or team or a project and raise funds on the back of the support, strong support from the university. Um, that is one model. And we talked about earlier on the alumni donation, corporate sponsorships, gifts, and charitable trust giving you donations. These are the traditional methods where you may require, depending on the amount you are looking to raise, you may require professional firms to support you. There are other projects like research projects or investments. You might say, I'm going to do research on this particular one, and the benefit of this particular research is you are able to articulate and say, yep, this is the tangible benefit. Then you can take that proposal to the corporate world, and the corporate finance sector might look at that depending on the risk and the reward. They might finance your project directly from a particular fund. They may have a fund for targeting that particular segment of the market, and you might get funding directly from one source, from one particular fund who are interested in exposing their funding to this particular activity that you're looking at. Um, or you can look at models where a combination of all, say you want to open up the crowdfunding platform, have your proposal in crowdfunding, you might raise a portion of what you are looking to raise, and you go and do the traditional door knocking, contacting your alumni and corporates and whatever else. You might also engage professional firm to generate funds, or you can look at going to private equity funds or corporate finance professionals and try to raise funds directly from that source. All these methods are workable, but what is more effective will depend on the quantum you're trying to raise, what is the purpose, and how you package it. I'm pretty sure you students are all well aware. There are numerous instances where someone wants to raise, let's say, $10,000 for a particular cause or activity and post that in a crowdfunding platform, and they end up raising $500 million or $100 million. They just wanted to raise only $50,000, for example. They end up raising 100 times that. That is possible because that theme becomes very popular and it's been accepted, and how it's being promoted in social media and so on, that has a ripple effect, and everyone chips in a small amount and it becomes large. At the opposite angle, there are many, if you go to any of the crowdfunding platforms, you see there are so many projects don't even meet the minimum threshold. They might say my minimum threshold is $500. They don't even reach $500 because it's poorly marketed, poorly canvassed, and promoted. It's not only you having a good team and having a very active crowdfunding platform, you also have to have people around to market that particular fundraising activity in multiple platforms so that it becomes very effective. I know I'm continuing to talk about various topics or various aspects of this particular fundraising activity. I will close my lecture or presentation in the next 10 minutes or so and open up the floor for discussion. And I will be with you for a good half an hour and answer all your questions. So please bear with me. The other points to consider is articulating to the donors, the potential donors, why they should support your project, your particular fundraising activity through tax efficient way. If they don't donate, they will still end up losing that amount to the taxman. Let me give you an example. Say my tax rate is 28%. I'm a foreigner in Malaysia, so I pay 28% tax. If somebody comes to me and says, here is a project, here is a proposal, this is for community benefit. If we do this project, so many lives are going to be saved, or whatever the benefits are, and it is approved by the government. And if you donate money to our particular cause, you will get tax deduction. And it's simply meaning, instead of you paying $100 to taxman, you're going to pay $80 to us and $100 to taxman. Isn't that better? If we are able to articulate, if we are able to get a tax professional to assist in our fundraising, to articulate the tax benefit to the donor, then it becomes even more effective in the fundraising activity. This is more relevant for high tax rated countries such as Australia. Australian tax rate is quite high. If you already know, the tax rate is very high, same as some of the Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries. The tax rates are very high. Some of the Scandinavian countries, the top marginal tax rate is 62%. So there are people paying 60% tax. For every dollar they earn, they pay 60 cents in that dollar as tax. So they only end up getting 40. In a high tax jurisdictions, articulating the tax benefit in fundraising activity becomes very active, very effective, because people understand I'm still going to pay this tax anyway. Why don't I pay maybe $20 more instead of just paying $100 tax? I'm paying $120 in total, but $80 of my money go to this particular fundraising activity, which I personally I'm passionate about, and I want to support this particular activity, and I support that activity, and that donation becomes tax deductible, and therefore, instead of me paying the entire amount as tax, part of my money goes into this particular fundraising activity. So, what I want to, as a recap, what I want to talk about is the fundraising activity. There are many ways of raising funds, and also there are number of other factors, non-fundraising related topics that can influence how successful you are in your fundraising. For example, I mentioned tax. Um, Tax is a significant contributor or significant factor in making your fundraising effective. And also, there are quite a number of research documents available. You can look at, if you're targeting particular country or region or continent, there are figures available, even though you might want to raise funds for your project here in Malaysia or in just in Kuala Lumpur, but the theme might be a global theme. The purpose of what you are raising the funds for might be a global theme, and then you want to focus on which region, which particular continent or country where this particular theme is very popular, and therefore people would donate a lot of money, even though the activity is happening not in their country, elsewhere. To give you an example, this is real life, my personal experience. I was involved in auditing DEC. DEC is Disaster Emergency Commission in London. DEC, it's a UK body, and there are some 10 or 12 big charities are part of DEC, Disaster Emergency Commission, like Red Cross, British Heart Foundation, and Oxfam, and many others. They're all part of DEC. When tsunami hit the Southeast Asian countries in 2004, Christmas time, just before Christmas, DEC launched a fundraising appeal. Remember, tsunami hit on the 24th and 25th of December in Southeast Asia, and a lot of lives were lost, and substantial property damage occurred as a result of that tsunami. On the Boxing Day, on the 26th of December is called Boxing Day in the UK. On the Boxing Day, DEC launched the tsunami appeal, tsunami 2004 appeal. They launched it on 26th, probably around 3 o'clock on 26th of December. By 8 p.m., the website crashed because there are a couple of reasons. One, Christmas is a particular time when the Western countries are in donation mode. The fundraising, if you want to time it, if you time it closer to Christmas time, the chances of you succeeding in raising funds for a charitable non-profit activity is very high in the Western world. People during Christmas are very charitable. And that is one factor. And the second factor was every news, whether it is CNN, BBC, Sky, you name it, France 24, everyone was flashing suffering of people dying, children separated from their family, and properties being washed away by tsunami, and so on during Christmas time. Christmas time, as I said, it's joyful and happy time for the Western world, and they're all very charitable. And during that time, this tsunami appeal was launched, and within 8 hours, within 5 hours, the launch happened by 3 o'clock, and the website crashed at 8 o'clock, and by that midnight, BT, British Telecom, came to rescue and took over the appeal website, and they hosted it from there on. We were asked to, I met with the CEO of DEC, and what we wanted to find out was how much was lost during the period 8 p.m. on that day, 26th of December 2004, to midnight, when British Telecom, BT, came and took over that website and supported them in the fundraising activity, how much money was lost. The reason this was important for them was the total funding raised during that one appeal was in excess of 280 million pounds. And even a fraction, 1%, 2% of that was lost during this crash period when the website crashed, because people are still pledging. What happens in fundraising through website is that the money doesn't physically move from the donor account to the donee account. What happens? There is a pledge. The, the website, they go and click, yep, I'm willing to donate $50. That $50 need to be processed in the back office by the financial institutions and the credit card or debit card providers and so on, for that transaction to get completed when the money is taken from the donor and put it into the donee's bank account. Because the website crashed, there were many transactions, they were at various stages, did not complete, and some were cards being charged, but the money wasn't credited to the organization. Some where the pledge has been made, but neither of these two bank accounts or cards being debited or credited, and these are hanging, meaning not completed, incomplete transactions. So that is one of the reasons I was involved in trying to identify and recover and get more funding for this cause. The cause, as I said, was um, one of the worst incident that happened in this region. Not every country in the Southeast and South Asia got affected equally. For example, Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia got pretty badly hit by the tsunami, but there were other countries not as bad but had impact. So what I'm trying to highlight is there are many factors to consider in fundraising. In this example of tsunami appeal, timing was so important. Launching that appeal on 26th of December was very crucial in the success of fundraising. So you need to take into account the timing issue, the region of or area you want to focus on, depending on the theme, the size of funding, the method you adopt, whether you take external assistance in fundraising, or you want to do it internally yourself, or go through crowdfunding platform. With that comment, I'm going to open the floor for Q&A or discussions on this topic.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hari, for sharing with us your vast knowledge as well as experience in fundraising. I'm very sure every single person that tuned in today would have learned so much and much more than they expected. Okay, so now as for the Q&A session, those that still have questions can leave them in the comment section. So for the first question here, we have this question from Afika. In your opinion, sir, would it be more effective for us to have fundraising activities compared to trying to find sponsors, especially now in this difficult time due to MCO? And how about if we would want to organize we will want to raise funds, but in collaboration with other hospitals or organizations, in what manner would the money be divided?
Right. This is a very good question, and the timing part of it is spot on. This is something I highlighted in my last example in the tsunami appeal. Timing is critical. Right now, with the MCO or RMCO. For those audience attending outside of Malaysia, MCO stands for Movement Control Order, and RMCO is the Restricted Movement Control Order. Um, that's across Malaysia. Um, what current climate is such, there is one group of donors who or sponsors who would not be willing to contribute or take the risk of spending money now in with the uncertainty of how the business will go in the next 12 months to 2 years, 3 years. There are others would be more than happy to fund or support if it is for hospital or healthcare related projects. So first thing in answering this question is whether you should go for fundraising or find a sponsor. Fundraising is, relatively speaking, easier than getting a sponsor. Um, Getting a sponsor means that sponsor has to bear all costs, whereas fundraising is spread through a number of people or parties involved. So fundraising in this climate, in my view, is a better choice than seeking for a sponsor. And also in a collaborative way, that is very interesting. And it depends on whether your collaborator is going to add credibility, add value to what you're trying to achieve, or you're going to add value and credibility to their organization. It depends on that. You can collaborate, but make sure you benefit out of it, as opposed to your credibility is benefiting them. But the collaboration aspect, I strongly support, particularly in the healthcare sector. In the current climate, any healthcare related project, I'll be more than happy to take that assignment for fundraising, because in this climate, it's a lot easier to sell than other projects. To give you the opposite example, if you've got a project on tourism related theme, forget it. Nobody's going to fund or sponsor, because tourism as an industry has come to a halt right now.
Thank you so much for answering that question, Mr. Hari. We have another question from Xiu Yu Xuan. Hello, Mr. Hari. I would like to ask for us students how we should look for the appropriate corporate to support our case. For example, if we were to host an event regarding awareness
Okay,
of a
this is
disease.
a awareness of a disease, right? As opposed to looking for a cure or a remedy or a fix for that particular disease. This is awareness of a disease. The reason I want to stress that is, if you're looking for a solution, if you're looking for a remedy for a particular disease, then the pharmaceutical sector is the sector you want to target, because it's in their interest. If your activity finds a solution, who is going to produce that particular medication? The pharmaceutical sector. And they will be very keen in working with you to explore and find a solution or a cure or treatment for that particular disease. And therefore, I would strongly go with the pharmaceutical industry. In this case, this is awareness of a particular disease. Pharmaceutical sector may or may not be that much interested in. This, I would look at crowdfunding. This is, you are simply promoting information. You're not scaring people. You are just sharing information that there is a disease. This is how you, I don't know, I'm just saying, how you diagnose, what are the symptoms of if you have this, and what you should do at a very high level. You're not advising medical treatment, but giving them information and guidance on a particular disease, I would look at crowdfunding for that, depending on how much you want to raise. As I said, crowdfunding, the cost of crowdfunding is between 5 and 10%, and therefore it's still viable. If you're looking to raise 10,000 and you got to pay between 500 and 1,000, it's not bad if you're successful in raising crowdfunding. On the other hand, if you got a large scale, then yeah, by all means, contact me. I'm more than happy to assist. Anything to do with healthcare sector, I'm particularly interested in, and any project you students want to even think of today and come up with a big scale. If you manage to come up with a theme or a concept or blueprint and say this is what we want to achieve in Malaysia in the healthcare sector, you need $1 billion, please contact me. I'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Hadi. I will take note of that for future events. And now we have a question from the president of MEDSOC himself, Ganzian.
Mhm.
Evening, sir. Is it difficult to apply for tax reduction or exemption by event organizers in Malaysia?
It is not difficult. Tax is never difficult or easy. It is a boring compliance piece of work. You need a tax specialist. They will take the form, fill out all the forms, and tick box and say whether you qualify, under which category you qualify, and apply for it. And it takes time to get. So for your organization, I would seriously consider getting the tax reduction or exemption certificate. Even if it takes 3 months, 6 months, it's worth getting it, because what it's going to do is you don't benefit that much, your donors will benefit. Your donor is going to be able to deduct the donation that they give you from their taxable income, and that is the incentive for them to donate. So there are two things going to happen. Number one, if they donate $100, it is not full $100 coming from their pocket. If they don't donate, say for example, they would pay $60 to taxman. Now, by donating $100, they still pay the $60, but they've only donated $40 to you, but you receive in your hand as $100. So from that point of view, both parties have something to gain, and for that to happen, you need to apply for tax reduction and tax certificate from the inland revenue, and in the longer term, it will benefit you. Whether it is for one-off fundraising activity, or you guys grow, think big, and you even say, for example, you invent a drug for, say, coronavirus. The group of you guys come up with a solution for coronavirus. You want to patent it, you want to trademark it, you want to produce, you all become billionaires. It'll still be beneficial for you having the tax certificate. So the tax part of it is not short term, it has got a long term benefit for you and your society, and therefore I would seriously consider go through a professional tax advisor to get the certificate under appropriate category. There are many categories people get the certification, and tax advisors would know how to get, and even their fee, the fee you would have to pay them to get this done, might become tax deductible. So there are the tax is a complex animal. So yeah, it's worth getting the certificate.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Hari. We have another question. It's from Yaolun. Hello, Mr. Hari. May I ask you what is the most important essence of fundraising, the most fundamental to make sure that the fundraising is successful? Thank you for your time.
The most important essence is for you to be able to articulate the purpose. what I mean by the purpose is the way people, even donor organizations, they don't simply donate, even if they have allocate, say for example, a large corporate you're contacting, and they want to allocate 1% of their profit for CSR project, corporate social responsibility. They want to keep 1% of the profit set aside for donation. They're still not going to donate for any cause. You need to find out what is the most urgent issue in the world today, and how is your activity going to address, and how effective your activity is going to be in addressing that particular matter, as opposed to many people raise funds for green initiative, and they want to bring water to a region where there is no water. There are so many activities you can do, but how do you articulate the benefit? You need to, okay, in the water project, I recently did a water project in India. This particular project, they were raising roughly around $10 billion, and they wanted roughly around half of it, $5 billion, free money, meaning donation, right? The way we articulated and successfully got $5 billion grant for them was, they're bringing water to a region. The total number of people in that region is 15 million population. That is almost half of Malaysian total population. So this region in India did not have drinking water, and the total population was 15 million people. When we prepared and hired KPMG as a professional advisor in documenting all these steps and everything, and presented to the fund saying, you fund our project is going to bring drinking water for the first time to 15 million people, the fund straight away agreed to give 50% of the funding as grant. This is where the professional help will help you become successful. The question has the most fundamental to make sure the fundraising is a success. The success rate goes back to your origin, the purpose. Why are you doing this? What is the benefit? Who is going to benefit? And how many people going to benefit? If you can go back to answering all those questions and articulate and support with evidence, it's not just 15 million population figure plucked from air, because the funder can simply Google that part of India. Nowadays, you got all the answers in Google, and type how many people live in that region. It'll straight away say how many people live in that region. So we had to make sure it's verifiable, substantiable piece of information, but it's valid information. So this particular project was actually going to benefit 15 million people, therefore it was easy. So coming back to this question, the purpose is very, very important, not how much you want to raise. It's irrelevant how much you want to raise. How many people it's going to benefit, and why you? Is there another organization who could do this better? All those you need to, your team, your commitment to this particular project, because you may be doing, your committee may be wanting to do 10 projects, and the resources are very thinly spread among 10. The funder would want to know all those. Or is the whole committee entirely focused on delivering this particular project successfully versus exposing themselves to thinly 10 projects? None of them may or may not succeed. If you say we have got only this project or one or two projects that we are completely dedicated to completing successfully, then the fundraising becomes successful.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Hari. We have a question right here from Abdullah. Hello, sir. I wasn't clear on the tax exemption example. Are we asking the tax collector to use a portion of the tax collected for the fundraising, or are we asking the donors whose tax is being collected?
Okay, okay. Neither. The answer is neither. What happens is, I'm a taxpayer in this country. I pay 28% tax. I earn $100, and $28 is deducted as tax. Taxman has already taken my $28. Now, I come to your organization, and you are a tax registered organization, and I come and donate $100 to you. That $100 I donated to you is tax deductible for me. At the end of the year, when I submit my tax return, I will declare I donated to your organization, which is a tax registered organization, $100, and that information will go to tax office. They will refund the tax $28 that I paid when I earned the $100. Tax office will pay it back to me. You are not, as an organization, collecting on behalf of me tax or on behalf of income tax, collecting any tax. The fact that you are a tax registered entity, organization, and I'm donating $100 to you, that $100 becomes deductible from my taxable income. And my taxable income through my PAYE payroll, they've already taken $28 from my $100 revenue income. They've already taken $28 as tax and given it to the tax office. At the end of the year, when I lodge the tax return, when I go and declare, I also donated $100 to this organization, which has got the tax registration number. Tax office will refund my $28 back. So anyway, I'm a chartered accountant. You guys are in the medical field. I'm not trying to teach in one session how tax work, but in simple terms, answering this question, you will not be responsible for collecting tax, or you're not collecting on behalf of the donor and doing anything for the donor. You simply give them a receipt for the donation that you are a tax registered organization and you have received $100 from Hari Iyer. That's all you're going to say. And rest is done by the tax office.
Okay, thank you so much for that, sir. Now we have a question from Surya. Hello, sir. Is it possible to get fundraising for the upcoming years?
If the question is it possible to get fundraising for a project that could go on for a number of years? The answer is yes. But if you say you're going to do an event in 2 years' time and you want to raise money now, highly unlikely somebody will give you money now for an event that you're going to host in 2 years' time. But you got a project that's going to go on for 2 to 3 years, and you want funding now? Yes, that's possible.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from Afika here. Hello, sir. So let's say the medical society would want to collab internationally, since you said that if the theme is a global theme, example themes like organ donation,
Yeah.
cancer awareness, we could widen our target donors to people of other continents. So how would the process be actually? Is it difficult to deal with other parties since we have to deal with international currency, etc.?
No, Afika, this is I like your thinking. You're thinking outside of Malaysia and a common theme going global. This is fantastic. And you don't have to do any of these currency issues or tax issues or even language issues. There are many platforms, fundraising platforms, are capable of receiving donations in multiple currencies and pay you in the currency that you need. And also, they will have multiple languages. They because they target many countries. Their website will have many tabs. You go and click, and they will be able to read. And particularly medical, you guys are so lucky. In the medical field, the human biology is identical. People might say, I'm black, I'm white, I'm green, blah, blah, blue, whatever, but the biology is still the same. If you cut somebody's skin, you get red blood. That's it. Whether they are white skin, red skin, whatever skin. So, because medicine, like organ donation, it's universal. Cancer, universal. Whether it is in Africa, in North America, or Scandinavian countries, or um, Eastern Bloc, or whatever, Middle East, or wherever, this is a common topic, and therefore your team will get global traction. Members or people interested in that particular awareness simply go to a crowdfunding platform that is international and submit what you are trying to do. But most importantly, articulate the benefit, not what you're doing. What you're doing is the process, what you're going to do, but you need to articulate what is the benefit, who is going to benefit, what is the benefit. If you are able to articulate that in simple one sentence, couple of sentences, you got a winning fundraising team. Where people fail is they're not able to articulate what is the actual benefit, who is going to benefit. First of all, they don't know who is going to benefit. Second, what is the actual benefit? But they've got a lot of documents on how they are going to do. They're going to come into work on Monday morning and they're going to do this. They've got the processes documented, but where they fail is not clearly articulating whom it's going to benefit and what is the actual benefit.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Hari. We have another question from Xu Yushan. Hello, sir. I would like to ask whether good relationship with relevant company is good for our fundraising job, provided the event cost matches the
Of
company's
course,
beliefs.
this is not just for fundraising activity. Why would you not have good relationship with any company? You want to have good relationship with everyone because you don't know when you need whom. See, don't get me wrong for using this word. Fundraising is glorified begging. We're no different, right? We are glorified beggars. When we go and raise funds, I used to raise funds in London for various organizations. I say we are just glorified beggars. You don't want to have any bad relationship with any organization. Even if they don't support you, you always still want to maintain good relationship with them because you don't know the next round of fundraising, you might need them. So I wouldn't rock the boat or do anything to jeopardize the relationship with any of the organizations you have as supporters. Remember, not all organizations support you in monetary terms. Some of them support you indirectly. They might go without you knowing, they might go and say, our company is not able to support such and such activity. Maybe your company, if you are able to support, this is a very good organization, I know them, and they might give you some very good verbal reference, not feedback to you. That's what they've done. So it's always good to be in good relationship with companies. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Personally, I would like to ask a question, which is you mentioned earlier that not all companies actually help us in by giving us monetary help, which is money. Some might even give services or goods. Which do you think will benefit the organizer more? Would it be the funds, that means they give us cash, or will it be like the service and goods?
Okay, it depends on which organization and what type of goods that they are providing you. Obviously, money gives you flexibility in how you want to allocate. Say, for example, you're looking to raise $100,000. You got $100,000. You know how it's going to be allocated for what purpose. On the other hand, you've been given 100,000, say $20,000 worth of cash, $80,000 worth of goods and services, and you look at it and say, that service is good, but I only want 10% of that service, but they want to give you 20% of that service. And this good, they give you 20% of that good, but you want 30% of that good. You don't have a choice. So when they give you in kind, your efforts are restricted to what they've given you. If you go and ask Oxfam or Care Australia, they all help a lot of refugees around the world and so on. They say, don't give us any of your old clothes or shoes or whatever. Give us just $3. That $3 we can buy what actually they need. They need a blanket, they need food, and we can get them what they actually need, as opposed to you're just simply dumping what you don't want, like your used clothes and used shoes and used whatever. So that's what, in company terms, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They got some leftover stock, or they got some products they want to get rid of. They just donate it to you. Is that going to be as effective as giving money? I would say no. Money is better. You have better control over your project. Your project becomes more effective if you have money versus donation in kind.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Hari. I think that's all the questions we have today. Do you have any last few words of advice or anything to help us
Okay.
with?
First and foremost, Priyanka, I have very limited information about your organization. I would like, you got my contact details, my WhatsApp, and my details, my email. I would like information on what exactly you guys do, how many members you have, how many students, and how many activities you conduct through the year, and what sort of funding you'll be looking to raise. That is something I'm very much interested in hearing from you. The second is, I'm proud to share with you my daughter Anita and my son Hamish. They both are in the UK. Anita just finished her medicine course and started as a junior doctor in May this year. And she's been junior doctor for the past 4 months or so. And my son is in the fourth year of his medicine. So they both are in the medical field, and they would like to know more about your organization and how from London they can connect with Malaysia KL based student body, and how, or whether they can remotely assist or interact with your association. That's number one. Number two, they do visit every year or twice a year to KL. When they visit, whether they can take part in any of your activities. So those are my personal request as to more understanding what it is that you do, how we can continue to work together and explore ways of assisting.
Definitely, sir. I'm looking forward to having more projects and activities with you, as well as very glad to hear congratulations to your
Thank you.
daughter, and as well as your son in the medical field. Actually, we have one more question here from Jet Lee. Crowdfunding is actually quite closely related to the ecosystem, but given the Malaysia's culture to fund for CSR and ecosystem, looking at our slow rate of SME growth, how can we attract corporate
Okay,
into Malaysia?
this is assuming there is a huge assumption here. Crowdfunding is funded by corporates. That is not the case at all. Crowdfunding, depending on the theme, crowdfunding money comes from individuals, mom and dads, or even your fellow students. So anybody can fund your particular project, and the benefit of crowdfunding is it touches global audience. Depending on the platform you choose, it can touch global audience. And imagine, let's say, I give a positive example. Let's say you want to run a cancer related campaign, or better still, like some example I gave you, you're going to raise funds for a state of the art research facility in Malaysia or in Penang. That you put it in crowdfunding, some philanthropic billionaire somewhere in the world looks at it and say, "Oh, I've got cancer. My relative died of cancer," and in their will, they wrote that most of their assets should go for cancer research. Bingo, it's like winning lottery. That person gets to read about your project and able to contact you and donate you, even donate directly to you without even going through the crowdfunding platform, because the amount that they want to fund is a lot more than what you were looking for. So the promotional aspect is invaluable. The crowdfunding platform, the minute you put, and then you let to do some work, because crowdfunding platform, they market their platform and so on. Then you got to go and click and promote your campaign in Twitter, in LinkedIn, in Facebook, and whatever, Instagram or wherever. You need to go and do your bit of promotional activity, and then it can become very successful. So I don't believe the crowdfunding, just because you go for crowdfunding, you will have a negative impact from the corporate side. The opposite is true. I don't believe it will have a negative impact. It will only give you positive impact, because it's going to give you more publicity.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Hari. It seems like we actually don't have any more questions.
That's excellent.
And
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
think we have come to the end of today's talk titled The New Norm of Fundraising. Once again, I would like to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Hari, for taking time off his weekend and spending this time educating us on something which we did not have a vast knowledge on. And also thank you to every single one of you that tuned in to today's talk, as well as those that left comments and questions. That is all for today. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.